Known for the longevity of his career, which spanned more than 5 decades, Terry Funk helped pioneer the hardcore wrestling style with the likes of Mick Foley and is considered by his peers as one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. A born risk-taker and completely unpredictable, Funk always laid it out in the ring, putting his own body on the line to entertain an audience of any size. Of course, I remember him best for his time in the WWF as Chainsaw Charlie, but this only gave me a glimpse of what Terry had accomplished throughout his career. Born into a wrestling family, his father Dory Funk was a wrestler and promoter behind Western States Sports in Amarillo, Texas. It was in his father's promotion that Terry started his legendary wrestling career in 1965. With a great wrestling pedigree running through their blood, it wasn't long before Terry and his brother Dory Funk Jr. became known for being great technical wrestlers. His rugged and shoot style of wrestling would later captivate NWA audiences and would launch his career into the stratosphere when he defeated Jack Briscoe for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in 1975. This would lead to a 14-month run with the belt, defending it against the likes of Dusty Rhodes, Giant Baba, and Jack Briscoe, as well as defending the belt overseas in Australia, Japan, and Singapore, eventually losing the belt to Harley Race. Funk would go on to feud with Jerry Lawler in the Continental Wrestling Association. Jerry Lawler would describe Terry Funk as the greatest superstar of all time. Terry's popularity in the ring also captured the attention of Hollywood, appearing alongside Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse and alongside Sylvester Stallone in the Over the Top and Paradise Alley movies. Funk would remain close friends with Stallone following their work together. In 1989, Funk would settle into WCW and begin a feud with Ric Flair. Following Flair's victory over Ricky Steamboat at Wrestle War, Funk challenged Flair to a title match, with Flair refusing, saying that Funk was spending time in Hollywood instead of focusing on wrestling. Funk then attacked Flair, pile-driving him on a ringside table, putting Flair out of action until his return at the Great American Bash, where he faced Funk and won. This would lead to an I Quit match at Clash of the Champions 9, which Funk also lost after Flair put Funk in the figure 4 leg lock. In 1994, Funk would join the International Wrestling Association of Japan promotion, who along with Mick Foley would participate in IWA's King of the Deathmatch tournament. The matches were extreme in every sense of the word, and featured barbed wire for ropes, barbed wire covered boards, glass and chains, as well as explosives. Funk was eventually defeated by Cactus Jack in the final, no rope, barbed wire, exploding barbed wire boards, and exploding ring deathmatch. I remember seeing glimpses of this match when watching a promo for the 1999 Royal Rumble I Quit match between Mankind and The Rock. To say I wanted to see the match was an understatement, but unfortunately I wasn't able to watch it until many years later when the internet became readily available. It was brutal to say the least, and testament to how far Funk was willing to go in the name of his art form. This extreme style of wrestling would become Funk's mainstay as he transitioned away from a traditional style of wrestling. It was Funk that helped the fledgling Eastern Championship Wrestling, later renamed Extreme Championship Wrestling, by lending his talent and notoriety to the promotion. Funk further elevated ECW by headlining their first pay-per-view, Barely Legal, on April 13, 1997, winning the ECW World Heavyweight Championship from Raven. Earlier in the night, he defeated the Sandman and Stevie Richards in a triple threat match, thus earning him the match with Raven. After multiple title defenses, he would go on to lose the belt to Sabu in a barbed wire match at Born to be Wired. It was his 1998 run in WWF that I remember best. Returning as Chainsaw Charlie and teaming with Mick Foley, who was wrestling under his Cactus Jack moniker, their feud with the New Age Outlaws made for essential viewing at the start of 1998. This feud would culminate on the grand stage at WrestleMania 14, where the Outlaws were defeated in a dumpster match for the Tag Team Championships. Also a notable match during this run was his Falls Count Anywhere match with Mick Foley on Monday Night Raw. For me, it was a shame that Terry Funk wasn't properly utilized following his success at WrestleMania 14. He would be paired with the likes of Too Cold Scorpio and Bradshaw in the latter half of his WWF run, and it made for pretty forgettable matches and storylines. Then, following Fully Loaded in Your House, Terry Funk was gone from WWF and wouldn't return until 2006. Funk would briefly return to ECW once again in late 1998 and early 1999, before returning to WCW in 2000 and 2001, winning the WCW Hardcore Championship 3 times and the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship for the second time. He would also serve as the WCW Commissioner and was the leader of the short-lived Old Age Outlaws, who would feud with the NWO. Funk would wrestle several retirement matches throughout his career, but could never quite let go and leave the ring for good. Notable matches that come to mind include his match against Bret Hart in 1997 at the 50 Years of Funk event. This desire to keep going and continue to be part of the business came at the expense of his own body, as revealed in the Beyond the Mat documentary. Funk was told by a doctor he would need a knee replacement, and this was in 1999. It wouldn't be until years later that he actually had the operation. Despite being well into his 60s, Funk would continue to wrestle in Japan, the Independents, as well as multiple appearances for WWE, before finally wrestling his last match in 2017, at 73 years old. Funk, along with his brother Dory, were inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2009 by his longtime friend Dusty Rhodes. Terry Funk attained legendary status, not only amongst fans of the sport, but by some of the wrestling industry's most celebrated performers. Bret Hart said of Terry's passing, "The wrestling world lost a true legend in the passing of Terry Funk. I met Terry when I was only 14 years old, and he, along with his brother Dory and father Dory Sr., was an immense influence on me. One of the greatest in-ring performers who always brought a distinct realism and imagination to the business. He was as famous for his hard bumps as he was for his brawling, but was a true worker and professional. Few did it better, and this is one loss that pro wrestling will mourn for a very long time. To my friend and mentor, I pray a fast trip and soft landing in wrestling heaven. Thank you for all you gave." Terry Funk's career lasted an incredible 52 years and spanned 6 decades, a feat which is unlikely to ever be replicated. Funk's tireless dedication to his craft and one-track mind has left us with a body of work that defined multiple eras in wrestling history. This was Hogan's Choice. See you next time.